Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of I Am Shatoria. I hope all is well out there. I'm excited to be back in your ears and you're listening to what we got going on today. Today, I'm really excited because I have one of my good friends here who's out here doing some different things and some good things. A lot of us, we tend not to want to have certain conversations and talk about some things. We forget that people are human and we like to throw things up under the rug and don't try to worry about it. But today I have an individual who started, his own business, but he started this Facebook page that it got me hooked. And I am able to go in and talk and listen and learn about many people. So today I hope this young man aspires you just like he aspires me all the time. So I'm going to let him introduce himself. Mr. Burns, how are you?
I am doing well, Shatoria. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you so much.
Absolutely. It is such a pleasure, such a pleasure. So um let's get started. Let's talk about who you are. Who is Winfred? Tell the
Mm.
world about yourself.
Now, Winfred Burns is a father, a pastor, an entrepreneur, a lover of people. I love me some people, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I love people, and I want to see people become their best. I want to see them fall in love with themselves in such a way that they realize why they were created. And so that I believe that every idiosyncrasy, every ugly thing, everything that we think is ugly was uniquely done for a purpose. And I want people to love themselves, love all of that about themselves so they can fully walk in their destiny and in their purpose. But that's who I am.
Absolutely. And you are a dad to the cutest little boy ever. Um Little Trey, who is basically your twin.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be a dad?
Ooh, it is amazing. I told Trey this morning that not only is he an amazing kid at 8, that he is also that I am privileged to be his father. I see being a father as God entrusting me with something or someone to help cultivate and raise them so they can do what He called them to do. So I love being a dad. It's difficult at times, but I love it. I absolutely love it.
Absolutely. And, I love fathers. I definitely love fathers. I definitely love the single fathers. I think they need to have more rights for a single dad. But again, that's me. I know that's another conversation, but that's just how
Yeah, yes.
I am. I'm really into the single dad, the rights for them. But again, another conversation. I definitely have to bring you back for that one because that is definitely a touchy one that a lot of people don't like, but I am all for it.
Hmm.
But let's talk about your Facebook group that I absolutely love. Like I don't remember who invited me. It was either you or Rashad, but I've been in this Facebook group for a minute now.
Hmm.
And right now you're over 400 people in there. And I met I call her my Facebook bestie. And
Hmm.
she's in Michigan, but we are, this is how we met. And you have this Facebook group that is, we talk about the raw.
Hmm.
Like, so tell us about the scoop, how you found it, what made you do it, so tell us about that.
Yeah, so the Scoop is actually a part of my company, which is Global Drive Network. We're a media company that the Scoop is our weekly show. Me, Shaquila Willis, and Kels Johnson, we do it. And our vision is to to change a generation by raising the conversation. So we set out with the goal of having difficult conversations that will hopefully get us to a point, us meaning Black people, where we can love better. Because all of the way our story, the Black story in America, is so um, is so unique because we're the only group of people who have were forced to come here
Right.
and were forced to come here and lost everything from name to identity to cultural to our culture. We lost all of that. And so we are literally have literally taken on other everybody else's culture but our own. And so now that we're in a space where we're trying to unlearn some negative things and re-engage some of our native culture, we're finding out just how honestly how dysfunctional we are. And
Mm.
so because we realize we're dysfunctional and because we realize, hey, this isn't how we've always done things, we have to we have to engage those conversations and we have to say, listen, this isn't working anymore. This the way we were doing things does not work for our community, nor has it ever worked for our community. And so we're unlearning things, we're learning new things, we're learning how to speak each other's language, we're learning how to disagree, we're learning how to value women differently, we're learning how how some of the things that we thought were okay are not okay. And so we do hard work. And it started because really the scoop started in a time after my divorce. And I got divorced in 2014. And when I got divorced as a pastor, divorce is the scarlet letter. And
Mm.
so I got no more speaking engagements. People
Wow.
no longer answered my calls. Um, a very good friend, one of my closest friends, told me, "Man, listen, you might as well quit preaching and go ahead and just try to make a whole bunch of money in corporate America and
Mm.
sing R&B because you're not going to be effective in ministry anymore." I had a pastor tell me something very similar. You do know that God's never going to give you a good woman, right? Because of what because you're
Oh.
divorced. Yeah, I had all kind of crazy stuff said to me.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh.
Yeah, and
Oh,
so I started the scoop because I felt like I still had a call, I still had a purpose, and I still had a destiny. And if it wasn't going to happen in church, it was going to happen somewhere. And so I said, now that I don't have to worry about the opinions of the church, I can say what I've been wanting to say, but or would talk about in private, but would never talk about in public.
right.
And so, I always say that when you've lost something like I've lost, when you've lost everything and had to start all over again, then the idea or the fear of other people's opinion is non-existent. I don't care. I care, but I'm not concerned about people's opinions of me anymore because I know who I am and I know what my heart is after, and I know that I would never purposely hurt anybody. And if anybody ever, and if I found out I hurt you, I'm gonna apologize to you because I would never try to purposely hurt anybody. So once I got beyond that, it was let's talk. We got a question, let's talk about it. We want to talk about sex? Let's talk about it. We want to talk about oral sex? Let's talk about it. We want to talk about, masturbation? Let's talk about it. We want to talk about marijuana in the church? Like we're going to talk about it and
Right.
we're going to work through it and we're going to disagree, but we're going to figure it out. We talk about politics. We talk, as you know,
Yeah.
any and everything. Nothing is off limits. The only thing I ask is I literally have three rules, and that's don't call a woman out of her name, don't use the B word, the H word, respect each other's differences, and watch the show. Those are the only rules that I have.
Yep.
So
Only, yep. And I would say I abide by all three.
yes, yes, you do.
And I will say, first of all, as a person who me and Jesus be tight like glue,
Mhm.
um, to hear how other people of the cloth come to another person of the cloth because something was done, we forget that people are human. Things happen. We forget that some pastors are, let's call it what it is, some pastors who think they are called get into a situation and it doesn't go so well. Um, we act like people of the cloth that is in that position don't make mistakes. It's like one of those, you have to be perfect in order for me to follow you. And I think that's what the misconstrued notion comes in at. And I'm the type of person, if if I'm going to church, and this is just me, if I'm going to church, and you hear people, they still fight about the tithes and offering thing. But
Mhm.
if I'm going to church and I'm paying my tithes and offering, and I find out that the church is swallowing money in any type of way, I'm not about to get up and just leave unless God tells me to leave. Because at the end of the day, if I am going for the notion of getting that attention from the pastor, um, being able to be in that in crowd, then I'm already going for the wrong reasons. Um, because in the end of the day, I don't want to call it church hurt, but here's the thing: it's just like a regular job. You are not going to get along with everybody.
True.
Everybody's not going to be your friend, and not only that, you can't do everything you want to do.
True.
So, and a lot of people get butt hurt and they go like, well, I don't want to be here, and forget the pastor and forget them because they didn't even acknowledge me that I work this program. But this is not why you're going.
Right. Right.
Um, but to hear people that sits in those seats come to you and say those type of things, and now I have a clear understanding how and why you started the school. I definitely take more appreciative than what I already had, because I enjoy going in here into this Facebook group and having these conversations. Because, like you said, nothing is off the table. We
Nothing.
talk about everything. So, if anybody is like trying to find a group where they can just be able to ask questions and get honest answers from any and everybody, because we're not you. So, even though I'm in DC, you are covering, like, it's a lot of Oklahoma, a lot of people, Chicago. What are the areas that we're covering? Because again, we have over 400 members in this group.
Yeah, 400 members. So the largest population is Oklahoma and then Chicago. But we have people from the UK, South America, Congo, all over. I mean, not every state, but we're getting there. And so,
Absolutely.
yeah. And what's interesting is I probably we have 440 something people in there now.
Hmm.
I've rejected at least 1,000 people from the group
Oh,
just because, and it's not because I don't want them there, but you got to answer the questions. Like it's four questions to get. They
uh,
don't answer the questions, so I'm like, all right, I guess you didn't read. So my thing is, I would rather protect the sanctity of the group than to have a whole lot of people.
I like that. I'm in a mentoring group, and one of the things that a social media individual said, she was like, "It's not about how many likes you got. It's
Hmm.
about the content that you have in your group.
Hmm.
It's about what you're putting out and what they're seeing. And if you just want a whole bunch of people to make you, like, oh, I got, over 1,000 people in my group, then you're not doing anything. You're not making any moves."
Correct.
And so I definitely get it, because we already have a very diverse group,
Hmm.
um, a lot of different personalities.
Hmm.
I think if we was all in one building for a party, this would be very interesting.
I
This
don't know. I don't know what music we would play. I would be honest with you.
we've been there like, oh wait, what we doing? What we doing? Because
Yeah,
everybody is very different. And
agree.
again, the conversations that we have are very, I see them as very important, because I like the way you throw conversation, because we throw conversations about everything. I've seen conversations about, you know, a question that's directly towards women, and it makes you think about the type of woman you are.
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
you the type of woman? And then we real quick to my I am, I'm that woman. And some of us like, wait, hold on, let me think about this for a second.
Uh-huh.
And then
Uh-huh.
you got the men, you have their questions for them. And then we got I like how you be throwing them church questions in there, because when church questions get in and people start throwing out the scriptures and people like, But, I some days I be like, are we about to have a keyboard war going on? Because
Right.
it depends on the day and what people are in their feelings,
Yeah.
depending on what answer we going to get.
Yes. And
Um,
that's
we do talk about, and especially right now, I know you try to divert conversations that we're not always talk about religion and politics. I know we definitely try to divert to other questions and concerns. And I know we've had questions in there about virtual learning with the kids. And so it's definitely a place I would say is safe. And
mhm.
I know that's my opinion. it's
Mhm.
a safe place for me because I've been able to be in this place and be able to see the questions and be like, oh snap, okay, I
Yeah,
like that question.
yeah,
Wait, let me think about it. Did I do that?
yeah.
You know, I have to put myself in check some days when I'm reading it. So, but
You and me both, and that is to me a good thing because it says I'm growing. I'm growing that, I'm gonna let them live today. You know what? I'm not gonna do that. You know what?
he said, let them live today.
I'm gonna let them. And I mean, and so because as a pastor, I've learned even like we all have triggers, and so I've learned that like in the climate of this culture, when it comes to religion, there are some people who just are looking to attack religion, and you could say something that's absolutely perfect, like it's good for us to love each other, and then you say, because the Bible says that we should love everybody, they'll agree with it, but because you use the scripture, they're like, that's trash. You're like, but you agree with it. You just said we should love each other. You just don't like that I use the scripture reference. So I've had to learn like where my triggers are, and to give people grace to grow and give them the same type of mercy that I need. Um, that, and I and that I need, give that to them, because everybody, and I tell people, if you though I would want everybody to believe like I believe, that's not on me to do. My job is strictly, again, to love them. So I'm going to do that. And 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 if they reject me or it, or the gospel, whatever, that's not on me.
Right.
But I'm going to still do my best to love you, and we're going to get in this group, and we're going to have these good conversations because because that's what we enjoy doing. And again, I love people.
hmm
I love people, and I want to see people do well, which,
And you definitely, we have people in the group that are doing so well. So it's really exciting to see
oh yeah.
out here doing great things, having great conversation, um,
Oh yeah.
and out there supporting each other. I will say that definitely the walk in love part. You have to, no matter what the outcome is of something that is bad, like you said, because they reject you in the church, you still had a calling that needed to be done.
Hmm.
One of the things that I say on Facebook all the time is we're not taking losses, we're taking lessons, because
Hmm.
you needed this to happen to show that you still had a voice.
Hmm.
God still gave you a calling that needed to be done. It
Hmm.
just went about it a different way.
Sure, sure.
And it didn't really change your platform at that either.
Not at all.
Um, so definitely, it was like, what you mean you don't take L's? I was like, I take a L. It's called a lesson.
Exactly.
Mm-mm. I keep going. I ain't taking no losses because for me,
Exactly.
I do what I do. I don't have regrets about them anymore. And I see it as, hey, you know what? I learned from that. Let me move on and go to the next thing.
Hmm.
Okay, I may have failed at that, but you know what? I'm going to keep trying.
Hmm.
And that's what you do, especially building the scoop now. With that, how are you using this to make changes in the community?
So, good question. So, what are we? Several ways. Um, so this most recently, we did it to engage, of course, people to get engaged in the voting process. Um, Anytime there is an election, we spend time having deliberate discussion about politics and policy. And so week before last, we did an entire show on, the contract with Black America, to really, and we went through the actual contract, because we hear a whole lot of disagreement that Ice Cube talked to this person and that person, but most people didn't even read the thing, so they
Right.
don't even know if it's good. So we spent time going through the contract because we want to engage people in thinking and learning. So we went through that. We again engage people to talk about voting and why voting, and this in our age group, there's this idea that we shouldn't vote. And so we wanted to really wrestle with that. Like, what does it mean for us to not vote? Is that beneficial? Is that something we should do? So we talked through that. We just launched a campaign yesterday, our annual holiday Thanksgiving campaign, where we feed families every year. So the group donates, and it's however much in donations we get, that's how many families we feed. And I mean like full turkey dressing, the whole thing that I don't need to be eating, but I'm looking forward to eating anyway. The whole full Thanksgiving meal we feed families every year in the cities that donate, and we literally shop for them, deliver the food to them. So 100% of our donation goes to these families.
Okay.
We do the same thing at Christmas, where we adopt families and buy the children. We buy their toys. And if we have money and can afford it, we buy things for the parents. So we do that. We have a lot of what you were saying earlier. We have a lot of businesses that have started out of this group, and so we support each other and and making sure that we highlight businesses, that we highlight. We've got artists and musicians. So if somebody's coming out with a new single, we play that on the show. We try to highlight that and push that. So we are constantly, whatever the group and the community is doing, we want to make sure that we are involved. Yeah, I'm trying to think, what else do we do?
Yeah, because y'all do a lot. I
Yeah.
would definitely go with that music. I actually have a new artist for you, but we'll talk about that
Okay.
later.
Yeah,
Uh,
live event.
I
We
have
have
an
live
artist for you.
events.
As a matter of fact, his music is the music I use for my podcast. I just, his interview just dropped with us as well. So, like you said, it's definitely, you guys are definitely showcasing the talent and the work of our community. You're definitely showcasing the talent and the work of people in general. You're giving everybody a platform they can go on and feel safe on. So that's definitely a plus. I say a lot, yeah. So that is definitely a plus in the factor, because when we sit and watch your shows, we talk about the hard topics that people don't want to touch. Um, and that's one of the things that I do truly care for in the group, is these conversations are happening in such a way. Hence the reason why I started I Am Shatoria, because you got to start somewhere.
Mhm.
And like you said, you got to know who you are. And
Mhm.
so, when I found me, I was like, shh, let's go ahead and do this, to where now
Yes.
I'm okay with talking about conversations that, I hate to say it, Black folks like to shove up under the rug.
Yes.
We
Yes.
don't like to talk about molestation. We don't like talking about abuse. We don't like talking about
Yes.
the family secrets.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of that has damaged us in so many ways,
Agree.
to where we get so consumed in what happened, to where a lot of us ain't been set free from what happened.
Exactly.
And so that's why I'm definitely a privileged one to be able to be part of the group and to see even breakthroughs happen in this group. Um,
Yeah.
People's been set free just off of conversations, and again, meeting other people, because there's many of you that I have met. Like, me and you still ain't met face to face yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We know the same
Not yet.
people, and we got
Yep.
the same circle, but it's like I've known you forever, even though we ain't seen each other face to face.
Yes. That's
Um,
true.
and so my Facebook best friend, I ain't seen her face to face, but we talk all the time. So it's one of those things that I really enjoy. Like I said, it is definitely a safe haven. Now, with that, you mentioned, being divorced and everything. What has been the hardest decision you have had to make between the divorce and getting into the school? What has been that hard decision that just pressed you?
Ooh. Okay. I've never said this. I've never talked about this publicly.
Okay.
Um, the hardest decision that I've ever had to make is separating from my best friend.
Mm,
Um,
that's real.
and yeah, and it was ugly. And yeah, and so I think that has been the hardest thing for me, because I've always, and I still am committed to, if I when I get put on, everybody who's with me gets put on too.
I like it.
Um,
I like
and
that.
so to know, to see somehow what God is doing in this. and to not have my dude there with me
Mm.
is has been hard. Um, but it was for the best, and but it still doesn't make it any less difficult. And so
No.
I think one of the things what's made it bearable is that in my mind I still feel like I have time. You know what I mean? And that might be a fallacy, but it's like, okay, everything's gonna work out. But that's been the hardest thing. And to know that people have this and to not be able to talk about it.
Mm.
Again, this is the first time I've ever publicly talked about it to this at this much. So, I mean, I
I
don't say
feel
anything.
special. Well, first of all, I feel honored and humble for that because uh, a lot of men don't talk about it.
Yeah.
They don't talk about their hurt. They don't talk about their pain from being divorced. But I'm a faith woman as well. So I said it before and I said it again. God is going to bless you with yours because that is one that's of His will. Two, that is of your heart and your faith. So
Definitely.
definitely stay in faith. God is going to truly bless you, which has been taken. And again, I appreciate you being that open about it. And, hopefully it encouraged other men to be able to be open and be like, hey, I feel this way because of this. Um,
Hmm.
because a lot of people feel like divorce only hurts the females because, we could be more vocal with it. Um,
Hmm.
Men are quiet about their pain. And
Hmm.
when they're quiet about their pain, this is the issue that we run into to where, oh, we don't, how can I put it? We belittle men who try to show their emotional side.
Yes. That's
They're not a man according to society. They're
yes.
punks, they're wimps. You don't talk about that, you don't cry. And this right here is why we have a lot of angry men.
Agreed.
So that's definitely a conversation that needs to be had, maybe
Hmm.
sooner than later. But I
Hmm.
definitely appreciate you being honest and like, hey, this is how I felt about my divorce.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
divorce is like death.
Divorce is death.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You
divorce is death.
losing a whole piece
Yeah.
of you.
Yes, it is.
Um,
And you have to get acclimated to that piece, to
yeah.
living your life without that piece. Miles Monroe says that divorce is like losing an arm. And when you lose an arm, you still have to learn how to live your life, especially if it's the arm that you write with, that's your dominant hand. You
Mhm.
still have to reacclimate to living without your dominant hand.
And
So
then
if you imagine
in the
you're
mix.
right-handed, you're having to learn how to write left-handed.
Right. And then you have a child in the mix, and many others, they'll have children in the mix and those things. And then I'm gonna be honest, if you're not grounded, divorce can be ugly
Mhm.
if you're
Definitely.
not grounded, because then it becomes a selfish fight.
Yeah, look, even if you are grounded, it's like it's hard. There is no way for it not to be hard. I don't care what anybody says.
That's a true
There
statement.
is
Yeah.
no, I've never,
I mean,
never seen a divorce that
some
was
good ones. I seen some ones that get divorced and they're very, they come. They're like, you know what, this ain't working. And then I seen some, it's straight out. Like it's
hard.
like for real. Like, wait,
Mhm,
you be like, hold on, time out.
mhm,
But
mhm.
no, I definitely appreciate it because again, we need to hear more men talk about that. We need to hear more men say
Yeah.
it is okay to cry. It is okay to be in your feelings. And again, for me, I feel like this is why so many men are angry. They
Mhm.
not gonna talk about it. They're not gonna deal with it because that is how they was taught. That's how they was raised. And unfortunately, we're doing it generation by generation by generation by generation. Hence why a lot of men don't want to deal with uh, emotional beings.
True. That's true.
They just don't. Um, they're like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to deal with it. And so,
Mhm.
unfortunately, in our community, we have a lot of men that this is. I have this saying, and I'm very clear about when I say it. Women are not the only ones that go in a relationship with baggage.
True.
Men do as well, but
True.
unfortunately, a lot of us only expect a man to carry our baggage and not vice versa.
Mhm.
we're not, some of us are not, and I'm not saying all women, but a lot of us are not willing to see that men have baggage as well, that men have pain as well. And a lot of times we're not in the range of wanting to pray about it, be there for them, and see them past the hurt that they actually have. To see that they have potential, to see that they can get past that hurt, just like we need to get past ours. But it's one of those, he's a man, he needs to figure it out. He should know this already.
Yep.
Me personally, I don't agree with it. But again, that's just me because I feel like everybody has baggage. But it is about how you handle that baggage. If you feel like that is the person for you that God has sent you, then you got to be patient with their growth.
Yep.
And you got to be patient with their hurt.
Yep.
I see this visual that I always see on Facebook, that black man on his one knee holding the world on top of him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's literally what it is. Like you guys have a lot you are shouldering, literally. And
Yes,
unfortunately, a lot of you don't have support.
that's true.
You don't have it. So when you got society tell you one thing, and then you got everything that's already going on in the United States being another thing, and then that woman that you adore, but at the same time, she's like, and you too emotional for me. It's like, well, wait, what do I need to be? If I don't say nothing, I'm wrong. If I say something, I'm too emotional. So what's that middle ground? So it's one of those things to where um, we have to learn how to grow and accept that everybody has an issue. Everybody has something about them that is not agreeable. But at the same time, that they all have something that can be prayed about, prayed over, and look past at some point.
Yes.
But again, I digress. That's just me.
Now
You
you
know I'm set different. I'm a
preaching
cut
good.
from a different cloth type.
Preaching good there.
Because even in our group that we have, and even on Facebook, I think for me, my biggest pet peeve, and I know I'm gonna do a podcast about this, is I hate baby daddy bashing on social media. That bothers my soul to the core.
Mm-hmm.
So when I see single fathers like you and other people, like I have many men on my Facebook page and on my IG that are single dads. And when you get in a group and all you hear is he's stupid, he sucks, he asked me, can I get the kid? And I told him no, he can't get him because, I don't feel like being bothered. I'm like, wait, time out, hold on, wait.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I'm cut from a different cloth because I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
This is why I be like, I ever come to the world. So, um,
Yeah.
no, so it does take a lot for men to open up and be like, hey, this is what it is. And so, again, I appreciate you trusting me enough to put that out there, especially since, it's going to be out there. And
Yeah.
everybody can truly hear your heart and be like, this is what it is. And, that's that way of setting yourself free. So,
It
you got a little more free today.
is. No doubt.
You let it out there, hey. Now don't be surprised now, females listening that you single and they be like, oh, who's he again? So, um, I think my Facebook friends are like private unless it's mutual. So don't, you never know what happened from here on out. Okay. Um, so the
You'd be
question
like,
I have for you
I
is,
know who to blame. No.
what you say?
I said I know when they start, if they jump in my inbox, I know where they got it from.
Once they put it out there, like, hey, when. I mean, hey, you never know. You never know. You out here hooking up other couples. You never know where yours gonna come in at.
Who knows?
So
Who
now
knows?
my other question is, what have you learned about yourself as you have grown to actually love yourself?
Ooh, what have I've learned to so what I've actually learned the most about myself is that the things that I used to despise about myself are the things that God gave me to be uniquely myself.
Mm,
So number one, I am for a man. I'm an emotional man, and as
okay.
a kid, I used to hate that. I used to hate that it was very like I was one of them kids that when you get angry, you cry. That
Mm-hmm.
I cried, and even as I got older, I was always a very emotional person. someone, a man, for a man, very in touch with his emotion. And I hated that because I was teased for that. I was told that's not masculine. That's not how men are, you know. And plus, I'm not a little person either. You know, I've always been a big dude. So to see this big dude, you know, and in church, I'm the one crying when the worship music come on. So you know, it's. I used to hate that. Like I wish I wasn't emotional. And there was a time period um, before divorce and right after that I wasn't very emotional. And what I found was that I hated it. I hated I hated being angry and mean and unable to smile and unable to feel. And so I remember one day praying and saying, God, teach me. Actually, my prayer, it was the scripture: turn my heart of stone back into a heart of flesh.
Mm.
And as he began to do that, I realized that the thing that I was trying not to be, which was emotional, was the thing that helped me understand women and relationships and money and business better than most people. I'm good at what I do because I can tap into emotions that most men don't understand. I can name emotions that most men can't name. And so and then I've learned how to translate that into, okay, this is what she is feeling right now. And so if this is what she is feeling, this is what she needs.
Mm.
And that has set me apart from a lot of men and from a lot of other people who do what I do, because I can feel more than what most people. And it's not a head thing, it's a heart thing. And
Mm.
as a pastor, that helps me, because if somebody comes to me and talks to me, I'm like Jesus, I'm gonna cry with you sometimes, which is what people need. They don't need to be quoted scripture. Sometimes people just need you to cry with them, or just to say, I don't know what to say, but this is horrible, and just sit there with them, like just be present. So once I learned how to embrace that, oh, it was on. I was on, because now it's like, okay, God, so you made me emotional to help, to be a blessing to other people. Now I don't have to run from that. I can embrace it. I can love it. I can, I still want to control it, but but I don't have to deny that this is who I am and this is how you made me, because my destiny needs it. Like I need to be emotional in order to fully be myself.
So I like how you said it's not a head thing, but a heart thing. And I think that's where many people get themselves wrapped around. If they're the head of the household, they're not supposed to do this. And that goes back to what you said earlier. It's just loving people. Um, but it also goes back to something that I talk about with my son is the five love language. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just for relationships, as far as like boyfriend girlfriend type of thing. It is literally for life itself, life relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be
Mm-hmm.
able to reach people where they're at in their love language in order to communicate with them. Friendship,
Yep.
dateship, workship, whatever you want to call. Yes, even in the church, because you got those people in the church. I don't want to be touched. I'm not an affectionate person. Then you got those that I need a hug. And then you got those that, oh, I need you to tell me I'm beautiful, So um I learned with my kids that they have love languages too. So, we got to treat the kids differently because they don't have the same love language. My daughter is very affectionate. She likes hugs, love. She will tell you all day she loves you. She wants to hear I love you. She wants a hug every 5 minutes of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And all I hear is mommy, 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 mommy. I want a hug. And she'll sit up under me and I'd be like, Janae, I'm not going anywhere. And she would just like, I just want to sit here with you. That's her love language.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, and I had to learn, like, oh, well, that's her love language. Let me make sure I embrace this love language because I don't want to be the one that turns her heart to something else because she may think that love language has failed. So when you say it's the head and not the heart, I mean, it's not the head, but it's the heart, that speaks very loudly to where I'm praying that when people listen to this, that it goes all the way to the back of the room
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we have to know that. Um,
Yeah.
They have to know it's okay to be vulnerable. Um, And
It
truthfully, in
is.
order to be free, you got to be vulnerable anyway.
And you know what's interesting? So even like you, what I appreciate what you just said is not just about your intimate relationships. I have a friend eh, who we were talking, and he didn't, and I used, man, you good, you straight, blah blah blah. Yeah, 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 I'm good. But something in his voice I heard,
Mm,
and I was like, he's not good. And so I let the moment go. But maybe 35, 45 minutes later, I called like, okay, what's up? He's like, what you mean? I said, I heard it, and I heard it in your voice. I heard something in your voice and I felt that you're not right. What's up? And he just like broke down crying, like, man. And I'm like, and when that happens, it's like, okay, God, this is why you gave this to me.
hmm
This is why you gave this to me because this is had he not had I not done that, he would have never told anybody.
No, and he would have been walking around here with anger and hurt, because he hasn't expressed how he felt because he didn't feel comfortable with it. Um,
Yep.
People read spirits.
Yep.
Even if they're not into that, they can read a spirit, or as some people say, a vibe. Like me, I can feel it when I feel it. And when I feel it, just like you said, sometimes we got to tap into it. I think people tend to forget. One of the things that I really strive into, if somebody say good morning, I'm gonna say good morning back, or I'm gonna say good morning. And when somebody, say, girl, how was your day? Girl, my day was good. How was your day? And when they start to tell you about their day, listen.
Hmm.
Listen to really what they're saying, because they may just need
Hmm.
to say it.
Hmm.
So and people laugh at me because I'm one of those ones. I've said it before in my podcast, and I said again. A friend of mine said, one of my mentees, she told me, she's like, I can never tell if you don't care for someone, because you always say good morning, you always ask them how they're doing, you always ask them how the family is doing, even if you don't care for them. And she was like, that takes a lot of strength.
It does.
And I'm like, ooh, that was nothing but Jesus. Because like you said,
Mm.
I've been hurt. I've been hurt for being vulnerable. But just like you, growing up, I've always been told, Latoya, you talk a lot. And I ain't gonna lie. Between I talk a lot and my forehead was big, it was just bad. And
Mhm.
I hated both aspects. And the days that I
Mhm.
shut down, well, why are you not talking? Because y'all said I talk a lot, so there's nothing for me to say. Well, we were just playing.
Yep.
And as I've grown up, I'm like, well, God, I talk a lot. And he goes, I know. I made you for that purpose.
Exactly.
And I ain't even gonna lie. Let me tell you something. When 2020 started, I was not thinking I was starting a podcast. And
Hmm.
God said, I have some things for you. And I was like, well, okay, what we doing? And when he said podcast, I'm going, oh. And he was like, this is why you talk, because there's things that needs to be said.
Yes.
And I was like, okay,
Yep.
cool beans. We'll do
Yeah.
a podcast. So, and the forehead, I'm just completely over. I don't even care. I'm gonna show off my forehead. I'm not cutting no more bangs like I did as a kid. Um,
Good.
I used to do all those things, like you said, and now as an adult, it's like, okay, I got a big forehead. Who cares? So, um, one of the questions I do have for you is, and I think I kind of already know the answer to this, but who influences you and actually that push you?
Hmm. Okay. Great question. So my two biggest influences, honestly and obviously, are my son. Um, my son, because having him made me say I have to be the person that I want him to be, and he's watching everything I do.
Hmm.
And so once I realized just how much he was paying attention to me, and I'm still amazed at times, um, that's one. Quick story. A couple weeks ago, we were talking, and he said, "Dad, can we only go to church on the Sundays that you're preaching?" And I said, "No." I said, "Because we don't go to church for you don't go to church for me, to hear me. You go to hear from God." And he was like, "Yeah, but I like listening to you." And I was like, I didn't think he was paying attention because he usually on his iPad or whatever. So I
No,
don't think he paying attention to me.
paying
And
attention.
yeah, and he's not only is he paying attention, but what I realized was he's not just playing on his iPad, he's recording me on his iPad. I I find videos on his iPad of him recording me, and I'm like, oh,
Okay,
or
Trent.
he starts sitting. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
okay, he's paying attention. Yeah, so I'm like, okay, all right, I see that. And I would say the other one is, of course, my dad. Um, my dad is Superman to me, just because seeing all that he had to overcome to get to where he has. My father is one of 10 siblings
oh,
from a single mother who passed at an early age, and to see him go to college, work his way up through corporate America, um, minister, be who he is in the community, help raise other people's children, be everybody like is inspiring. So my mom, of course, is my biggest cheerleader. So my thing is, I don't care what other people think. In that sense, my question is always simple: is what I'm doing honoring God? Is what I'm doing honoring or bringing shame to my family? And is what I'm doing being true to myself? So if my God is happy, my parents are pleased, and I'm pleased, I'm good. So those are really the people who inspire me and push me. But I will say this: I have been blessed along my 41 years to have some amazing people who have pushed and spoken into my life. There have been some people who, at an early age, have identified giftings in me and cultivated giftings in me that have validated that I was called and gifted and all of that good stuff. So I cannot say that there's not been a season in my life where there was not people there who were saying you're good, you're going to be all right, I got your back. So I'm blessed in that area.
so with that, what is new for you and the school? What do you got going on?
What's new? Okay, so every year, end of year, I do a recap for us and start thinking about that. So it's interesting you asked the question. Um, New things we are working on, of course, making the show better, making the group better. Um, I always look at processes, like how can we improve processes.
Mhm.
So, excuse me. So I'm working on some changes to our communications process. We are looking to expand into more shows next year.
Okay.
Um, so I'm working on, I used to have more shows on the network, but I got rid of all of them. And so I'm thinking of launching new shows in 2021.
Okay.
Um, Also, what else is new? Um, what else is new? More, oh yeah, it's live events. Of course, Corona killed our live events for 2020. So
Ah, yeah.
just trying to reimagine how we can get together, even in a live space or in a virtual space, to build even more. I think what this election process and what really Corona has showed us is that as Black business owners, we have to be together. There's no PPP loan for us. There's no idle loans for
Yep.
us. It's going to be us. And so we are working on, I started something called the Little Black Book of Business. So we're expanding that, which is Little Black Book of Business is just a group of businesses who are committed to having high quality, excellent quality service and providing superior products. And so, because in our community, that is the complaint. We don't give good service and our products are usually bad. So it's like, now we're going to fix that. But it's a group of businesses who are going to help promote one another and who are going to help each other get customers. So that's really my 2021 goal. I mean, my co-host, of course, we're working on some cross promotional things. Kels has her Curvy Kitten, and she has her new show coming out, Bay or Bye. Q has some new stuff coming out, so she and I are working together on a men's line for these beards that we have. So yeah, I got a lot of new stuff. Plus, still preaching and yeah, trying to work with more small businesses. So that's really 2021 for us.
Oh, 2020 about to be lit in the school. Okay. I can't wait to see it. I'm really excited and really happy for what's about to go down. because it's about to go down. Now,
Definitely.
for everybody out there, how can they contact you?
Yeah. So if, my email is Winfred Burns at gmail.com. People can reach me there. On Facebook, again, Winfred Burns. On all social media, it's Winfred Burns the second. Um, so on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, all of those. You can also reach me at my phone number is very accessible. It's on my Facebook page. So if anybody needs that, it's there. Um, yeah, I'm just email, call, what else? Social media.
Yeah.
My website is my clothing line is walkroyale.com. So you can go and check that out. So that's being reworked right now, but the site is still up if you want to take a look at that.
So
So
wait, is this clothing line just for men?
no, my clothing line is for men and women. It's being reworked right now because not because A, I'm adding some new stuff, and B, so me and Kels, we share the website.
Okay.
So we had Curvy Kitten and Rent a Big Man on there. She has her own Curvy Kitten site now. So now we're just rebranding. So
Mm.
it's been I have men and women's items on there.
We're gonna get together offline because I got an idea. But anywho,
All right, let's talk.
because I just got excited with that. So, all right, and then you guys, you can also catch him on the Scoop itself if you go on Facebook and just type
Yeah,
in
thank you.
Scoop THE.
Been real Scoop Show on Facebook. It's if you go at Real
Um,
Scoop Show,
and
it's
please,
there.
when you go in to be part of the group, answer the questions because you're not gonna get in if you don't answer the questions. Okay, that
Thank
seems to be
you.
a thing around. I know people say, "Well, why I gotta answer?" Just answer the questions. Promise you, when you get into the group, you won't be disappointed. And if you is, call me. Let me know. Um, we'll talk about it. But no, I definitely want to thank you again for being here with us today. I am excited about all the new things that's going on for you. I'm excited to see what's about to go down in 2021. Um, and so, we definitely wish you guys blessings on this, on the business side, the personal side, just life in general. And we pray for, blessings, love, and everything you give out. I pray that you are, giving back, 10 times fold. So I definitely want to thank you for your time today.
Definitely. Thank you. And I hope the same thing for you. And as always, if there's anything I can do to help, I'm just a text or a phone call or inbox away.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know how to contact you. We
You
chat
do.
all the time when I can. I'd be like, hey, I got a question. But absolutely, thank you again. But to everybody else, thank you for joining today on I Am Shatoria. Remember, you can check me out on IG and Facebook at I Am Shatoria and our website at iamshatoria.com, where you can subscribe to receive, this information, more information on this topic and upcoming shows. You can also get some encouragement and inspirations, and you can actually start buying some products because our product line is now up and going and flowing. So I thank you to everybody who is purchasing our I Am Inspired box, which will be coming out first, second week of December. I believe we need to always walk in love, live fearlessly, and always have a whole lot of faith. As always, it's never goodbye, but see you later. Talk to you guys later.